Roger, main interval. Stand by there, Dane, we're looking at it.
Dude, you know what happened to me this weekend?
What happened to you this weekend?
You don't know, that's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Yesterday morning, I wake up to a call, right?
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, we had a wedding this weekend in Colorado. So I'm waking up in our room in Colorado. And yeah, sure enough, one of my business accounts was compromised by somebody buying flights to Dubai, Amsterdam. They ordered a bunch of Spectrovision.
And it wasn't you?
And it wasn't me.
Damn, you got some fraud or what?
Yeah, and the weird part is, and this is the weird part, is I've never used that card online at all. I've never used it over an automated service on my telephone, so it's just my bank's getting tapped into.
People are watching. That might be a good thing.
Oh, man.
Maybe it's a sign you're on the come up.
Thank God for insurance, dog. No, but you're literally on the come up, spreading those wings. You seem to you found your traction, and you're full steam ahead. You're a young hustler. You're my boy first and foremost, but I knew I wanted to sit down because I think it's time we start introducing you to more people.
Appreciate that.
Now, tell us the story about you in college and how it sent you on your trajectory to end up where you are now.
All right. So I went into college not really knowing what I wanted to do. I only toured Mankato because it was cheap. I have a twin brother, and putting two kids through college, it's attacking presence on your parents. And so toured one school, didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was working at Pegasus at the time, and I was like, well, what major should I go for? My mom's like, well, you like fashion, you like advertising, you like to sell stuff, you should look at marketing. And so I thought marketing and advertising are the exact same thing. Ended up going through marketing, found out that I loved it. And in my sophomore year, there was a class that we had to come up with a fake e-commerce project. And I figured if we're going to put in all this time, that we might as well, actually do something with it. And so at the time, I was selling school newspaper advertising. I knew where print was going. I knew how much people were spending on advertising through a school newspaper that no one was reading. And I heard a lot more about Facebook advertising and where it was going. And I just knew that it was going to be underpriced because it was so early into the industry. And so, it was literally as simple as we got into a class project, and it was like, all right, let's come up with this fake business. Let's run social media accounts and call it Social Butterfly. And we laughed about it and put in all the time. And I went down to my local restaurant that I was doing a lot of advertising with, and I said, hey, you need to stop spending money in newspaper if you don't want to tank your business and take it online. And so we worked with him, and I just kind of built it from where it is, from where it started to where it is now. So
you definitely just sugar-coated everything there. If people only knew the team you've built, the spaces you've compiled, that's one of the cool things, is meeting some of the old heads that have bought into your vision.
Yeah.
That's a very awesome place to be as a young hustler.
Yeah.
Because you have this long money believing in you, the type that will come in and revamp a space for you. Right. With this blind faith, knowing that you're headed in the right direction.
Right. Well, I've always thought there was a lot of value in playing the long game. I don't know why I've always had that feeling. I've had so many of the people around me, I guess, really looking for a quick come up, really getting heavily into crypto or just selling Twitter accounts and stuff like that. And I never found any passion in it. And for me, I bleed passion. And so when I want something, I go get it. And I've just always had this lagging dream to just build the dopest agency. And I wanted it to make it a place where, I could have my homies on payroll and have it a fun and exciting place, because for the longest time, it was such a selfish dream. I'm not going to lie. It was a very selfish dream to be in an ad agency and to be the founder and to be the creative director behind everything. But when you think about creativity and selfish, there's no way that those two words can be in the same sentence. And so as we started to build the different social media accounts and we started doing a lot more content creation, I realized how much of an important driving factor creativity was, and that it can't be my dream. It has to be my platform. And so I built a platform where I can have people who, whatever creative realm they want to be in, I built the platform to get them projects, to have a fun space to work in, and to be able to work with big names like Gary Vee and Vayner Sports and American Lung Association, and now big upcoming brands like Unreal up in St. Paul. And so I've always saw, a bridge that needed to be built. And so that's what Butterfly is.
You seem to be the glue piece for the generational gap. Even some of my old head business owners that I've introduced you to, they always, whenever you leave, they always say, man, that kid's passion. That kid's passion right there. And it bleeds.
Right.
And it's something that is infectious. And I know your team. I'm part of your team. And it's something where you just get it, and you get it on a hoverboard. Right. Instead of at a cubicle.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, if you look at most marketing companies, and this is probably what drove me to doing it, they always have the most badass office. I don't know why, if it's just a marketing tactic, but every marketing agency has a badass office. And I've always been really attracted to like slick offices with glass to floor ceiling walls, and the brick and the wood and just everything just looking sexy. And so even when I went to go visit my mom when I was a lot younger, I've always been driven to that. And I've always said, I'm going to build a sick office. And so being where I am today, surrounded by a bunch of glass, brick walls, and making of what I made, I think I've got there. But once I build up my own office, then you'll really see what's cooking.
You can never have too many Nerf guns.
Nerf guns, hoverboards, anything to just keep things fun, because the minute you lose that creativity, you're behind. And that's that's our driving force and why we are where we are today. So maybe we should back up a little bit and what Butterfly does. So Social Butterfly is a creative agency. So anything under the creative realm, working with a lot of social media advertising, Facebook advertising, event promotion. We're really, really well known for our videos. Me and my team have a very creative way of shooting and editing, and it's been kind of taking off ever since. And so, building back on that, a lot of people think I went to film school, and what happened was I was running all these social media accounts. We were grabbing stuff off of Google Images. We paid for some of the stock image websites to have the high quality photos, but I just knew people resonated with more real content. And so I realized I can give a lot more value to my clients if I'm able to produce content in-house. And in turn, I can build that revenue to be able to fund, having a bigger office, building a bigger team. And so I used to do workout videos with my buddy Hugh. We used to just take a bunch of pre-workout and just go hard as shit on the camera. And I always hit him up. I was like, dude, let me see that footage. Let me see that pictures. And I felt the passion. That was the first time I really felt passion. I would blow him up, and he got so annoyed. So shout out to Hugh on that one. But he's the person who really introduced me into photography. I was doing some stuff on my phone and editing on Lightroom, and that was the spark of it. But he really introduced me to it. And so I was just like, dude, I need a camera. And so I called my mom up. I'm a sophomore in college. I'm probably 19 at the time. And I was like, hey, I've been playing around a lot with photos. I'm gonna make my first bigger investment besides my car and whatever. And so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go spend like $1,000 on a camera. And I didn't know how to turn one on. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know anything. And I walked out. The guy sold the shit out of me. I walked out of there with like an $1,800 camera. And I thought, might as well buy my second camera first, just to make sure that like I'm doing what I need to be doing. Because I've always believed in investing in myself. And yeah, it's expensive not knowing to do it, but when you put that much money on a credit card, I think it just kind of gives you that extra driving force to be able to sit on YouTube and learn. So yeah, that's what I did. I went to college at Mankato, but I went to YouTube University. I just sat up all night long for weeks, just learning, shooting the most random things. But now looking where it's at, like it was everything that needed to happen. So yeah, I kind of just taught myself and then surrounded myself around really good videographers and just forced myself to get good at creating content because I just saw it was a need in the industry.
Can you break down your Instagram hustle for me and how that's a glue piece to a lot of your connections you've made?
Yeah. So I probably talk to more people on a regular basis online through Instagram than I do anywhere else. And I talk to a lot of people day to day, face to face, whether it's through meetings, just meeting up with people, catching up and networking. I really, really believe in surrounding yourself around like-minded people. And that's probably why I am where I am today. But essentially what I did is, I I don't spam people, but I sit there on the Discover feed and I find things that actually grab my attention, and I either comment something that like actually means a lot more context than just saying like dope pick. Like I'll go in and be like, dude, these colors are so slick, or I like the vibe here, or whatever it is. And they end up following you back, and I just, you know, kind of just let them know like, here's what I got going on, or if it's something that I saw that was interesting on the feed, like I just start the conversation. And I think there's a lot more people like me. I don't think I'm anything special. I just think I'm self-aware of what I want and where I want to be. And so, yeah, I just sparked the conversation, and I basically built a collective of creatives that are from Australia, England, I mean, all over the world on a regular basis. I actually just got a call from my mom on Saturday. She's like, did you make an international call? And I was like, no. And she's like, there's a 4-minute call from Australia. I'm like, oh, shit, yeah. Yeah, I did make an international call. Didn't know there were still extra service charges on international calls. I didn't think that was a thing anymore. So I got to switch all my calls over to the Facebook Messenger. But yeah, this dude stayed up till 3 a.m. to talk on the phone with me because I didn't realize the time delay. And I called him like, yeah, man, how's it going? He's like, good. I just woke up to my alarm. I'm like, what time is it there? He's like, 3. I was like, bro, what? You set an alarm for 3 a.m. just to talk with me? Like, now I'm like really close with him because he saw the value, and so we stay pretty close and connected. But so many people complain about millennials talking about, oh, they're spending all their time on social media. Well, if I can connect to 7 billion people with something in my pocket, fuck yeah, I'm going to be having my head down and digging into there to see what I can find and who I can connect with. And to say on top of that, some of the biggest projects and the biggest connections I've ever worked with have literally gone down in the DM. So that whole song, It Goes Down in the DM, is not a joke. And I think a lot of people just think it's like talking about girls and like, if that's your move, that's your move. But if you're smart about it, it really does go down in the DMs. And I think people aren't adapting to it in the business world. They're looking at it in the terms of, you know, I should send a proper email. Yes, you should absolutely send a proper email, but you can also hit them from the DM side because they might be scrolling. You know, I've been talking to Mark Brazil and, you know, D Murphy from group chat. And like, it literally was me just reaching out because from my perspective, if they don't read it or they ignore it, nothing changed. But if they hit me back, everything could change. And so I'm just trying to think of different ways that I can connect with people and provide value.
Your DMs, if they're done correctly, will typically lead to an email.
100%.
And an email chain where you're making proposals and stuff like that.
Exactly.
You're not making proposals.
You're not going to talk prices. You're not going to talk ideas through there, but it'll get them to say, hey, give me a call. Let's talk more. So I did that with both of them. And then, you know, they said, shoot me an email with some of your portfolio work. And so, yeah, it just goes to show, like, you just got to do whatever you got to do.
Being able to tag people who might not know you exist, but when you're consuming their content, whether that be clothing, whether that be a podcast, and you take a screenshot, you throw it into your story, you tag them, that's a big connector right there. I've gotten hit up just by tagging people, and they hit me up with because they know how the hustle works. They hit me up with a personal thank you. Hey, you should listen to this episode too, or you should check out this past line we have.
Yep.
And relationships are built on that, and I feel that social media is really cultivating a new age kind of relationship where it's like, we ain't got time to waste. Let's just go. And it's almost like you're compiling a remote team that has got your back 100%.
To build off of that, I don't think society knows what's coming with social media. I think we're not even awake yet. We're just, you know, kind of turning over in our sleep and like, you know, waking up partially in our dreams, but like we have not even woken up yet. Social media is about to change everything. And with how fast technology is changing and advancing, it's going to get weird. It's going to get really weird, but I think the way you look at it is going to change everything. I mean, augmented reality shopping, you're going to be able to pull out your phone in your home, and an augmented lamp is going to pop up, and you can start swiping over, you can spin around, you can zoom in on it like it's actually there, and you can say, hey, maybe that couch would look better over here. All right, let's just move it on our phone and visually see it and then be able to buy it. And that's just a glimpse and a taste of what's happening. But yeah, shit's going to get weird.
It's kind of like the first person who puts a chip in their wrist. That's going to be the same thing with the first person who puts full-on augmented cameras throughout their entire household, because that's what's going to make it possible.
Smart homes are going to take over the world. Dude, and my dad's been on that. Dude, I have iPads like mounted into my wall and my house talks to me. And this happened 5 years ago, bro. So my dad's from Paraguay. He came here when he was like 11 or 13 with his family. They signed the documentation. They became citizens and everything. But he learned another language. He's a real estate agent, and he's just obsessed with technology and Apple. Like, we have the OG Apple products from like day one. And I remember watching like all the Steve Jobs seminars when they launched the new products with my dad. It's just been something we bonded over. But like since like 5 or 6 years ago, like we have cameras all the way inside and outside of my house. And at like 6 o'clock, my house will go, "It is 6 o'clock. I am dimming the lights." And yeah, and the first time that happened to me, my parents were out of town and my dad set it up as like a joke. And I'm sitting there like watching a movie. I think I had a girlfriend over at the time, and it started talking. I was like, oh, I jumped up so high. I was like, what the hell is happening right now? I called my dad. I'm like, the fuck is going on? He's just like, "You like my new toy?" I'm not lying, dude. So we have the craziest stuff. I mean, we can open my dad has a GPS, a geofence around our house connected to his phone. So when he pulls up in the car about 2 blocks away, the garage door will automatically start opening. So by the time he gets to the driveway, it's open. He can pull in and just shut it. So, and it sounds so stupid and unnecessary, but like it's time, and time is everything. And so the way you can be more productive, it just adds to it. And they use the cameras in our house to like watch our dog when they're like out of town and stuff. I mean, some of it's unnecessary, but the thought direction behind it's definitely in the right way.
What was your first moment when you knew you were in love with technology?
I don't know if I'm 100% in love with technology, but when I started being able to create something out of nothing is when I found a passion for it. I do think technology takes away a lot from the personal context from a lot of people, especially more in like the IT field. I feel like a lot of people are lacking personal communication face to face, but they're really good at like instant messaging or text messaging and stuff. But when you can pair personal content with creating something out of nothing, that's where I found a lot of passion from it.
We're yet to hit the real awakening where there's a happy medium.
Right.
So people aren't totally enthralled or totally obsessed. They still are able to maintain personal communication and biological relationships. I don't think we're there yet. And I think it's going to be generational, and it's going to be kind of how we raise our kin, how we raise our kids. That's where it's going to be a real slippery slope, especially with like the generation just behind your generation.
Well, what about your generation with your kid? And even like some of my homies who are having kids right now, like what does that look like? Like, dude, there wasn't even Facebook, 5 years ago, 6, maybe 8 years ago, Facebook was really starting to pick up some traction. But I mean, what does that look like in your kids' eyes? Like, what does that world look like? When do they get a phone?
And we're still in the guinea pig phase.
When do you get them a Tesla to drive them to daycare? I don't know, dude. Like, that's the questions you're going to be asking yourself.
I know. And that's where I'm literally babying this relationship with technology for my daughter, because I know she's going to need this. I know she's going to utilize these multiple platforms, but at the same time, I care so much about psychology, and I care so much about my friends who are addicted to red bubbles. So they use their kids to their advantage, to their attention whore ways. Yeah. And it's a very dangerous place to be. And I've been uber aware about it. So is Gary. So is like Joe Rogan, some of my favorite people. They don't put their kids online just because there's creeps out there. I don't need people to know where I live. That's why I don't take pictures of my house. That's why, you know what I'm saying? I'm not standing in front of my whip taking a picture. I don't need people knowing when I'm in the building.
Right.
You know?
But to that extent too, what does it look like? I mean, Gary talks about how he doesn't have his kids online, but he has a phone in their hands because he wants them to get used to like using these tools, because these are essentially tools. You can look at it as a distraction, or you can look at it as a tool. And it makes a big difference on what way you look at it.
Emotional maturity. So if you have a child where you use this cell phone on a flight, you see it all the time on flights, or I saw my buddy, no offense to him, or no shame on him, his child was getting a haircut, and so his child would stay still in the chair. He was holding the other cell phone while he filmed him looking at the cell phone getting his haircut. And it's a really weird place to be, because that's not the first time that kid has used that cell phone in front of his face. Right. He's been used to that. He's accustomed to it now. So what that is, that's a dopamine dump for a child, and 100%. It's pretty much, it's a heroin drip. And I want my child to experience life in the organic form prior to the technological form. Get my drift? And that way she can determine her own happy medium. Yep. Because until then, bro, you're basically just creating a drug addict at an early age. Kind of like parents, before Tesla starts driving our kids to school in a badass
school bus that drives itself.
Yes,
gives you like a little apple juice and like a little like bag of cereal on your way to bus.
It's called Go Juice. It plugs in. High alkaline. No, but until that, you should probably push your kid to school. You know, you should probably walk your kid to school. You should probably teach your kid how to ride a bike, before we throw them on whizzers. Right. Do you know what a whizzer is?
No. Is it the big wheel?
No, old gas-powered bicycle.
Oh, yeah. Like a bike moped?
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way back in the day, they would just throw like a freaking lawnmower motor on it, and it just cruised. My grandpa would remake them, and he'd paint them, and he'd get them at a scrapyard. He'd flip them, turn them into $8,000.
Nice. That's that flip.
Well, that's
that hustle,
bro. That's what I saw growing up. My grandpas, their side hustle was on point, and I think I get that feeling after meeting your dad and hearing the stories about your dad. I get that feeling that you have this chip on your shoulder. And it kind of comes from your dad's blood.
100%. Because, dude, you have to put yourself in your parents' shoes. Mm-hmm. And I have a really cool story that a lot of people can relate to, I think. But if I was forced to go to another country because there's better opportunity and I had to learn another language and then come up on top of that, bro, I can't even fathom that. I took Spanish classes, and I'm pissed I don't know Spanish. Like, I just closed so many doors by not knowing it, and I made so many excuses, and it is one of my biggest regrets because being bilingual is just badass, I think. But I can't even fathom going to another country, learning a language, and then trying to determine what I want to do. And so from that standpoint, I think I just kind of have a chip on my shoulder. Like, I got to prove something to my dad. And the best way to do that is to build something for myself. I could work my way up into a position at a big company and just work the ranks. I definitely could. But to build something that I own 100% of, and to build a team around that, and to say, hey, this started from nothing. Look what it is now. And I remember about a year and a half ago, I don't think my dad actually understood what I was creating. And he's like, I was bringing in some money and like stuff like that. And he said there was a cap to it. And that made me mad, dude. That made me so mad. I'm like, no, you don't get it. Because he wanted me to be a real estate agent. And he's just like, you can sell, you can make your own content, you would kill it in real estate. And I just came back to him and said, I would never get excited over showing a bathroom or a bedroom. I'd be so focused on that commission check. Where this, I get so excited when I come back from a shoot and I get to bring in all that footage and color it and tell my story of what happened on that day. And to be able to create Facebook ads with my team and to see the return on investment coming out. And then the best part is when you see the business owner at the end, when they're just like, damn, this shit works. And I help build their dreams. Because I know what it's like to build my own dreams. But when I help build other people's dreams, I get goosebumps. I have goosebumps right now because I get so excited about it. And so my heart just told me to chase that. And it was always a circumstance where I'm going to keep going with this. And if anything else fails, like, I'll become a real estate agent. And so that's where I'm still at today. And it's just been blowing up. And I don't think I need that safety net, honestly.
I want to get into your mind state. Now, hold on. Let me finish this thought, because I know you can go for days.
I can rant. So you got to cut me off. I'm going.
Okay, so you made the finals for AdFed's 32 under 32.
Yep.
We're all there.
Yep.
We're all dressed up, dapper,
We're all hyped.
clinking drinks. We're hyped. We're kind of in this VIP lounge, hanging out, and we were confident, you were going to win. Now, one thing you didn't have in common with any of these people is you weren't working for the big agencies like all of them were.
Yeah. I was probably the only independent agency there. And to give context, I was 22.
Yes.
At 32 under 32. So I still got 10 years to make that list.
What made me so proud that day was knowing that my boy over here is self-made. Well, all these people are, in a nutshell, riding coattails. Doesn't mean not to discount them.
No, there's some really good agencies there,
really
but they're
good.
Also probably the biggest sponsors at the event.
Absolutely. And you saw it on
political.
On the ticker
I
scroll.
think there was 8 Carmichael Lynch winners.
With their tables up front.
Yeah, tables up front.
And it was, I just looked at you when your name didn't get called. And there were some people who, I'm not going to lie, I knew a lot of the people getting presented, and some of them were deserving, some of them were not. Because I've seen their work. I've seen what they do. And it's like, But knowing you, the free agent of the bunch, the self-made one out of the bunch, were there. Your dad's looking like a pimp. I'm throwing cards in all the prizes. Just so people knew who we were, and we left that day, and I know we went and played beanbags downtown Minneapolis and stuff, and we went to this high-rise, the after party. I don't even know why we went to the after party.
Just to see.
It was
just to see, just get the perspective.
We went, though, and it was like, okay, you're around these app developers. This one dude, he created this app. I forgot his name, and I still have the app downloaded. It's got all of the happy hours in town at breweries dialed in, so you can know where this happy hour is or what they're serving. Really cool idea, and those are innovators you meet at after parties. And I know that's why I go to places. So like when I don't want to go do stuff or I don't want to go to something, I always tell myself, man, Nick, all the connections you've made by not wanting to go somewhere, but you went, and then you made like a lifelong friend or a business partner, someone you go make money with.
Right.
Little things like that. The Covert event, where in a nutshell, was it the first time I really met you?
Yeah. Well, no, you weren't there. I met your cousin, and I still had your sticker. I still have that old sticker, the OG stationary astronaut, unpeeled. Like, it's still, like, pristine.
That was June 23rd, 2017.
Modern Craft. It was the first Modern Craft, and that was, like, one of the first projects I met with Blake. But
okay, so that's right. The river runs super deep.
The first time I met you was when you hit me up on Facebook for the Gary Vee event. But going back to where were you getting at with this mindset thing?
Okay, with the mindset, it brings us into failure. It brings us into letdown. It brings us into the naysayers winning because I didn't get to put a medal around my neck. But you look at like NBA players who just like Russell Westbrook. He lost to the Golden State Warriors. They had a 3-1 lead. He was not going to dip out of Dodge like Kevin Durant did. He kept that chip on his shoulder, and he still averages a triple-double a game. Are you the Russell Westbrook of the advertisement game in Minnesota?
I wouldn't say self-proclaimed, but proclaimed by other people, I think so. I'm still really young. I think I'm pretty self-aware that, I do have a lot of successes, but I've got more failures to face. I think that's what a lot of people forget. And it's really cool. I absolutely love it. Like, I got a text on Sunday from a random person. Actually, it was an Instagram message. And they just, it was so random. They were just like, you motivate me just by looking at your stories every day. Like, you're the first story that I watch every single day because you're just constantly working and you're building something that just drives me to want to build something. And so I want to fail faster because I'm very impatient, but I'm playing the long game. And so when you have that kind of mentality, you have to be impatiently patient. So I'm very, very eager to fail. And so what I mean by that is, like, I don't want to have the feeling of failure, but I want to fail in order to learn. Like, what did I do wrong? Why didn't I become, a winner of that 32 under 32? Or why am I not getting more awards? And so I'm just going to keep chasing until I get it. Like I said, I'm someone, if I really want something, I'll go get it. So that's just my mentality, and I think that's always going to be my mentality. And it honestly scares me sometimes because I know I'm going to build a multi-million-dollar agency, but what does my mentality look like that when I have 50 employees, when I have a built-out office? Like, what are my next dreams and goals? So I've been really reevaluating my mindset and what my values are. I'm not going to lie, I'm a person that likes to make money. And so many people, they rip on the fact, like, chase your passion, don't chase the money. And I agree with that, but to an extent, because
those are people who don't do what they love.
Not even that. Not even that. I listened to a podcast with Rob Dyrdek, and he's like, it's okay to love money. It's okay to love nice things, but you have to be aware of that, because why are you chasing these things? Like, if you legitimately like them and it just makes you feel good, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to build that into your mindset and what your goals are. So yeah, I do want nice things, and I'm not going to stop till I get there, but it's not going to be the last thing I get. So I've been really focusing on surrounding myself around the right people, building a really good foundation to build this company to where I want to build it to. And then on top of that, I think just taking as many risks as possible. I'm young as shit. I still have so many years where I can fall back on, if I really needed to, I could fall back on my parents. You know what I mean? I can fail on some of my really close friends, but it would take a really big failure to get there. And that's just kind of mentality I have. So I had 3 really good months in the business that really changed everything. So I doubled down and I put my homies on salary and payroll. And I'm paying a lot of money in taxes to keep it that way. And it's, they're guaranteed money where it was not that way before. But I want to show to them, like, I'm in it for the long run. I bought a neon sign for $1,000 to stick on the wall just to show them, like, it's more than an idea. This is big time. This is like the long game. And I think so many people are losing the mindset of long term.
The best winners are the best losers.
That's true. And I struggle with that. I'm not saying I'm a good loser. I get fucking pissed, dude. And the way I handle my stress has also been changing. I've been trying to really focus, how am I talking to people when I get stressed? Because when you're in an ad agency, things are always moving, things are always in communicating, and everything's in constant motion. And so it's high stress. I mean, I got gray hairs. I'm young as shit, but I got gray hairs. And just being more self-aware of my mindset and taking care of my mind has been a game changer.
And I know that about you. That's why I call you the Russell Westbrook, Mr. Hustle Westbrook.
I'm not big into sports, so like.
But that's because that's kind of how he operates, where you can tell he's ticked off, but he's ticked off enough to make sure his team wins.
Yeah.
And that's where chips come from. And people say, no, you need to be calm, cool, and collected all the time. Bullshit. There comes a time where you got to let it all out. You got to let it all
I think
hang.
you just have to be self-aware of who you are. I know people who are absolute killers as an entrepreneur, and they're very calm and collected and take 10 steps back before they answer. I know people that are right on the fire of the wire, and they immediately reply and try to get all their emotions out. And I know people that are in the middle of those. So I think it's just being really self-aware of who you are and how you react best. And really evaluating, your mindset and when do you operate best, and just taking a look at the end of the day before you go to bed, like, asking yourself, it sounds silly, but asking your questions like, how did I operate? How did I perform? Was I a good boss today? Was I a bad boss? Was I a dick? Was I too nice? And just constantly asking yourself those questions help you become more self-aware.
It doesn't mean you throw your conscience out the window.
No.
Never. And there are those kind of narcissistic, sociopathic bosses, GMs that, oh man, they were losers.
They're gonna get washed out. Dude.
That's straight up. And that's where I like the Jocko Willink mindset, where he talks about leadership, hardcore leadership, and
by doing to teach.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it stems from accountability. By doing, continuously showing up, doing the nitty gritty work, the kind of stuff where the best restaurant owners, I know I use this.
They're out there sweeping the floors.
They're out there mopping the floors, sweeping the floors, doing the dishes.
My buddy owns 2 pizza joints, a gym, and now a pressure washing business. I just talked to him on the phone. Shout out Travis. But
he busts his ass.
Dude, he hit me back at 3 a.m. just saying, I just got back. Like, we need to talk. I need some help with my marketing, because he's so busy opening up other businesses. But he was out there working the Saturday night shift, and their bar closed, Pizza by the Slice. So he's out there dealing with drunk people all night long. He's working 18-hour days, and he's sweeping up the floor as the last one to lock the door. And he sets the tone. I mean, he sets the standard. And that's respect. Like if that's your boss, you can't do anything but just respect him. And that's, I think, what makes a good leader. And so, yeah.
Hustle Westbrook.
Hustle Westbrook.
Hustle Westbrook.
Is that my new name?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
Hustle Westbrook.
I like it.
Now, is your consistent color always going to be blue for Social Butterfly?
Dude, I actually go back on that all the time because I'm designing a lot more clothes. There's a big scheme coming on. We're redoing the website. We're opening up a networking event. A lot of new big things coming on the way. But as we're starting to look at some of this clothing, I'm the type of person that likes all black everything, like the blacks, the grays, the whites, the more neutral colors. But blue, it just resonates with social media, and Social Butterfly is such a fitting name. The moms love it. But I think so. For right now where I'm at, I think so. I don't want to take it away too much. It's very fitting.
Your mom's an incredible artist.
Yeah, she's the one that designed the logo. She actually did the logo 1.0. And before we even launched the business, I reached out to Marketing Club, where I met Hugh, the one I mentioned earlier, who introduced me to videos. He was the president at the time, and I didn't even know there was a thing of Marketing Club. And there was about 50 people that showed up to the first meeting that meets once a week. And I just hit him up. I was just like, hey, I'm starting this business. Can I do a focus group? Because one of my mentors at the time was like, you should do a focus group. I'm like, whatever. So we ordered pizza for the whole Marketing Club, and I had a 3-question slip that I handed to everyone, and I put my logo on the projector. Didn't tell him my name, or I told him my name. I didn't tell him what the company does. I didn't tell him anything about the company. I just threw the logo up there, and the questions on the pieces of paper were like, what is the first thought when you see this logo? What do you think this business does? And what is the worst thing about this logo? And we got roasted, bro. I walked in the first day of being a CEO, and I got roasted. But it was the right mentality to have, because some of the feedback was like our logo looked too much like Disney Channel, and it looks very feminine, and it's a long name and all this other stuff. And we took all those pieces of paper, brought it back to my mom and said, here's the revisions. Let's come up with a new logo. We sat down with her, and now we have the logo that we've been rocking with since. So right out the bat, we just got roasted, and we had everyone tell us the worst things, because now we know off the bat we're starting on a good foot, you know?
Explain to people the Golden Triangle in Minnesota.
Geographically?
You know what I'm talking about.
Like Rochester, Minneapolis, and Mankato?
That's how you capitalize in this state, correct?
Yeah, I think so. So backing up a little bit, so we have a full office of 5 guys running in Mankato, and that's where it started. We got a really sweet deal with the landlord. We run like 4 or 5 of his businesses marketing, but I don't think geographical ties should be limiting you to business opportunities. And so after we worked with Gary Vee that first time, when I got that contract off Twitter, so many people were like, are you up in the metro now? Are you in LA? I'm like, no, I'm rocking Mankato. Because I love Minneapolis. I think I eventually want to move there or somewhere else, but I like the come up, dude. And I think Mankato is on the come up. I mean, they're growing tremendously. They're putting up tall ass buildings, and I like the undercut, you know? I like to ride the wave rather than, crash the wave. And so I think Minneapolis is on the come up too, but Mankato was an emerging market, so we started there. And then, we started working with some people in Minneapolis, and I'm like, okay, well, Rochester's really popping too. And I knew the clinic was really a big driving force, and I started doing some more research. My girlfriend ended up getting a job there. So I ended up moving here, and now I'm just rocking the Golden Triangle of Minnesota. So, really targeting people in Minneapolis, Mankato, and Rochester. And I drive to those places at least twice a week between all of them. So it's a lot of driving. The minute that I can afford a Tesla, definitely getting one of those. But yeah, man, I just don't think you should be limiting yourself.
I bring it up because there is a blueprint when it comes to not just business, with what we deal with, but also hip hop. That's how Prof and that's how Atmosphere conquered the state.
Dude, and Young Gravy's from Rochester. I didn't know that. Yeah. Dude, he's pushing numbers, bro. Numbers.
Yep, Gravy's doing it.
That's crazy.
Gravy's doing it.
So I think Minnesota alone is on the come up, dude. I was listening to a group chat podcast, and they're just like, I don't know if you're like from fucking Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I was like, whoa. Like, why are you dissing it like it's nothing? Like, there is some serious talent here. And I think we've always kind of been a Midwestern flyover state. We're not Colorado. We're better than Wisconsin, but it's just been overlooked. And I'm trying to curate the creators and the go-getters and the risk takers to just blow Minnesota up. And I think it's happening, dude. I think it's really happening.
That's what we're doing with this kind of silent conglomerate we've all created, especially with what Blake.
You need to get Blake on the podcast.
Dude, Blake is the lifeblood.
Dude, Blake connected me to you. Blake connected me to Gary. Out of his, like, he didn't ask for anything in return.
We're talking about Blake from Covert and Visionary.
Yeah. So how I first started working with Gary Vee, this is a funny story because it connects everything. So I had been working with a lot of businesses. And the thing is, so many people want to become a videographer, but they want to do the dope videography shoots. And what I mean by that is they want to go to the concerts, they want to do the lifestyle shoots, but nobody was really capitalizing on the business videos. And so that's where I really took an opportunity. And so fast forward a couple of months, I own part of Covert, so that's how I'm in connection with Blake. But Blake hit me up, and it was about 2 months or a month before Super Bowl weekend. And he hit me up, and he just goes, hey, one of the guys from Vayner Sports who is owned by Gary Vee is they tweeted out, where are my Minneapolis videographers and photographers at? And Blake reached out to him on my behalf saying, like, I got a guy. And so then Blake gave me a call. He's like, hey, I'm talking to the guy right now. Send me some of your stuff. I was like, bro, really appreciate you, but there is no way they're going to pick me. Like, there's way better videographers in Minnesota than me right now, because it was a couple months back. And I was like, all my stuff's business oriented. Fast forward a couple hours after that, I was their number one pick. And so it was really cool. And I was on the phone with Danny David from Vayner, and he was telling me, like, the scope of work and everything. And I was like, yeah, that all sounds good. I was like, but am I going to meet Gary? He's like, bro, you're filming him. You're going to meet him. I was like, all right. And I kind of thought it was going to be like my 10 seconds of fame to be able to, like, see him, say what's up, and, like, dip. But, dude, we were with them the whole weekend, rolling up to his Airbnb, having breakfast with them, to filming his audio recording for his book that just came out a couple of months ago, Crushing It. So I was recording all of that. And then just him going through Radio Row at the Mall of America. Like, I had goosebumps for like a month straight. And on top of that, I teamed up with the Broadskis. So during the day, for the first like 16 hours of the day, early morning to like late evening, we were filming Gary and all these NFL players. And then at the Broadskis, I brought the Broadskis into that contract. The Broadskis brought me into the Cardi B and Future concert that was at the Myth that night of that weekend. And so, or there was a 2 concert night weekend. And so I was filming Gary Vee and NFL players by day, and Cardi B and Future by night. And Floyd Mayweather ended up popping up, and OBJ popped up. And dude, it was insane. I was hyped on that for like the next 6 months. To be that close to like what people like really value as like celebrity status, to be right there with a camera capturing it, getting the all access pass was like, I think that's when like things really started to change, where it was like everything is attainable, you know, you just got to get it.
That was the reason I hit you up.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, bro, well, I'm bringing him back here.
Yeah.
We're doing an event for him, with him. And it only made sense to have you balls to the wall with us.
Yeah.
And it was cool because it was early in the process. So then we hit the ground running, and we were just gunning. And then the day Gary flew in, he gets off the plane and he's yelling at somebody. Remember that? He was just reaming somebody.
Pissed. He was rocking the clouds and dirt, and he was down in the dirt, dude. He was ragging on this dude, but he's a savage, dude. I mean, but people see both sides of him. I mean, he pushes his positive content a lot, but he's like, I'm real as fuck. Like, he just is. And I just don't think I think a lot of people just overlook him. Until they like get to meet him and see like how practical he is. He's nothing crazy. He just outworks everyone. Yeah. And that's just kind of my mentality, is like, work. That's how you get it. I think one of the phrases that I hate is when people are like, work smarter, not harder. I'm like, work smarter and harder. Don't stop working, because you're going to level up 10 times harder if you work smarter and harder. You shouldn't just be like thinking of that day where you're going to be on a beach and you're going to be just sitting on your phone and just running a multi-million. It's never going to happen. And if it does, it's probably in your last years. You're on exit strategy. You have people in place, but you're on the downfall from there. And it just really, again, going back to like what you really want and what you want to manifest. But I think you should always be working smarter and harder.
All the old heads who have ever told me that were drinking a lot of Mountain Dew. They
got their Cool Ranch Doritos in the corner.
They loved being in the truck instead of out in the dirt.
Yep.
They were typically foremen on jobs.
Yeah.
And they were bosses, and unfortunately that mindset is dangerous because the ones that work smarter and harder are Andy Schifolius, Titan Development, putting up another building right next door to here, not just the brand new Hilton downtown.
Right.
You know, because he works smarter and harder.
Right.
And that's a dangerous place to be if you're just trying to work smarter and not harder, because let's be honest, man, you might already have your 10,000 in because you worked hard as a young adult, but you should never stop. And that's why Gary's 42 and still killing it, still crushing it, because he doesn't just work smarter, he works smarter and harder.
Right.
And
well, it's like a conceptual theory. Like if you're running a business and you make a bunch of profit, do you put it in your pocket for personal keeping, or do you double down and put it into your business? Because working smarter, okay, that's the mentality of just putting it in your pocket, walking away. But if you work smarter and harder, you're doubling down. You just made a lot more efficiency in your business, and now you have more time to work on those other things that you've been having on your to-do list for the last 3-4 months. And that's literally what my mentality is. I have a running to-do list, and I block off 3 to 5 significant to-do pieces. I call them bricks, because if you lay 3 to 4 bricks a time, 5 years down the road, you have a house. 10 years down the road, you have a mansion, you know? And then, 20 years down the road, now you got an empire. And that's just been my mentality since day one. And I've been rocking that mentality since I started. And those are the sole reason why I've had accomplishments.
Home run hitters should never be allergic to hitting singles. If they are allergic to hitting singles, they're going to end up a designated hitter.
Yeah.
They might end up in the Hall of Fame.
And that's not wrong. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with being a home run hitter, but find those people that can hit the singles and put them on your team. You have to be self-aware.
Super duper self-aware. Do you ever partake in psychedelia?
No, never have.
Never have?
Actually, one time. Yeah, I did have one time.
Who dosed you?
It was a buddy of mine from college. They came back with half a tab of acid, and it was crazy because I didn't know. I thought it was more like just trippy visuals, but it looked like this mixer. Like my brain waves were connecting in ways that I never knew. And it was on a Sunday night, and I had class the next morning. I didn't go to class. I sat there and I took notes on what I wanted in life. I'm not gonna lie, I felt like Steve Jobs. I because it blindsided me. Like the whole knowledge piece just freaking blindsided me, bro. But yeah, I haven't touched it since. I just got what I needed to get out of it, and like that was that.
And that's typically how it should be. That's how moguls use it. That's how forward thinkers use it. People who are self-aware, not the ones who get lost in it. I don't like when people hang their hat on, say, Steve Jobs, and the fact that it was all LSD that brought him to the promised land.
He walked to class barefoot, and he didn't even attend college.
Steve Jobs was who Steve Jobs was. It just was a tool in his kit.
Yeah, and he was a dick. I mean, people they're like, I want to be the next Steve Jobs. He was a dick to his employees. He got fired from his own company. I don't strive for that.
Yep.
But, I mean, he was a visionary. He did change the course of the world by introducing the Apple products.
He wanted to connect us all, and by golly, he did it via blue bubbles.
Mm-hmm. And I think if he was still around, Apple would be a lot different than it is today. I think Apple is not as innovative as they used to be. They're focusing more on pleasing the shareholders because that's why you're getting a new charging cord, because they have to make the X amount of money off of that to continuously go. When you hit $1 trillion, like you got to do something to keep growing, and it's hard. And that's why they're doing it. They probably have the next 6 iPhones already laid out with the small little advancements that they have onto it to continuously grow. But I think if Steve Jobs is around, he would say, F the shareholders, we need to innovate. And they would come out with the next big product. I just think they're lacking. I mean, the Google Home is still like not nearly as where Alexa is, you know? Jeff Bezos is someone to watch out for. He's about to own the world really quick.
He's making more money in one day than 10 millionaires make in their lifetime.
Do you know what, did you hear about his 10,000 year clock project? Bro, he funded a big budget to be able to build a clock that one rotation is 10,000 years to put a significance onto getting more people to think long term.
10,000yearclock.net. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. What? I'm going to run this back. I'm trying to get...
Type in Jeff Bezos 10,000 year clock.
Bezos.
I read about it. Yeah, dude, he's a savage.
I've got a really interesting question I can't wait to ask you. Okay, we are building a 10,000-year clock. It's a special clock designed to be a symbol and icon for long-term thinking. It's of monumental scale inside a mountain in West Texas. The father of the clock is Danny Hills. He's been thinking about and working on the clock since 1989. He wanted to build a clock that ticks once a year, where the century hand advances once every 100 years, and the cuckoo comes out on the millennium. Wow, the vision was and still is to build a clock that will keep time for the next 10,000 years. I've been helping Danny with the project for the last half dozen years. As I see it, humans are now technologically advanced enough that we can create not only extraordinary wonders, but also civilization scale problems. We're likely to need more long-term thinking. Oh, shout out to Jeff Bezos and this man, Danny.
Yeah.
In Texas. The 10,000. I mean, it's a cool concept, but it's like...
Dude, he has money just to put ideas out there. Like, just let it happen.
Cool, bro. He isn't just a future-esque guy. He is also trying to be a caveman. All right. If you had to pick one mythical creature to be, what would you choose and why? It could be alien, Bigfoot, leprechaun with a pot of gold. It could be a unicorn, the Loch Ness Monster to see the depths. Which one would it be? You have to pick it.
Damn. I would probably be
a fairy,
a Pegasus. Is that a mythical creature?
I mean, are we talking a Pegasus with a human head?
Yeah, like the one with like a bunch. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna need some explanation because I need an and why.
and why?
Are you just coming up with a unique one?
Yeah, I think just because I don't know. You already gave me a bunch of examples. I didn't want to just piggy bank off of that one.
Trying to be half man, half amazing, or what?
No, I think to just keep things diverse. I mean, a Pegasus, what is it, like a horse body and a human head with like some wings? Google a Pegasus right now. Let's break it down. Because my theory behind that as a quick answer was to take all these little different pieces to assemble something big. And it's a deeper dive into the theory that I have. I want to be bigger than something than myself.
Ooh, a Pegasus is not that. A Pegasus is you got the horse right, but it's a mythical winged divine stallion and one of the most recognized creatures in Greek mythology. Usually depicted as pure white, Pegasus is a child of the Olympian god Poseidon. He was foaled by the Gorgon Medusa upon her death when the hero Perseus decapitated her. Yo. So it's a stallion with wings, dog.
Okay, well, my thought was it was a bunch of different creatures put into one. To build the theory of I want to be something bigger than myself.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's really
kind of
cool.
out there answer, but
no, but that's really cool, and it kind of goes into your lifelong ideology in a nutshell. I look at Brandon Polizuk as a
Polizuk.
Whatever, dude.
Zeppa. Is it Zeppa or McLaughlin? Like, which one are you rocking with?
You can call me whatever, daddy.
All right. I got you as Nikolai Nothing in my phone.
Now everyone knows my freaking government, dog. Y'all know my government. You ever come across some homies where you've always known them as their nickname, their street name? Then you find out their real name, and they get cool with you calling them it. They don't care, Clarence or whatever, but you call them that in front of a girl or in front of their mom.
And they just lose it. Yeah.
Bro, you call me my government in front of my mom? What are you doing, dog? Yo, chill. I'm sorry, Clarence. So what is coming down the pipeline for Social Butterfly and Brandon?
I'll break it down. So Social Butterfly, we're growing really fast. We're a talent-driven business, so I'm always looking for individuals that just get it, that have to, they come to the table and they don't ask for what's for dinner. They come to the table and they bring something for dinner, kind of like a potluck. That's kind of the theory. So we're growing really fast, really emerging into the market of Rochester and working with a couple of different accounts. And just, I'm not even looking at it as like, I'm trying to outbound and like convince people why they should be working with me. I'm taking more of the stealthy approach. Like, we're working with people, you'll see our content and you'll contact us. That's kind of the mentality on that side of things. We're introducing, I don't know if it's going to be like a sister company or a subsidiary. Yeah, there you go. Of a new wave of networking. Like I said, I'm talking to like-minded people all the time, and I go to traditional networking events, and it's always just that person that's forced to go to them. They're trying to make a sale on insurance or financial planning, and you get that call on that Monday saying, hey, I'm a financial planner. I don't want to work with your money. I just want to hear your story. It's just not what I'm looking for, and I want to be the connector of more like-minded people. So we're coming up with a networking event that's going to start off every other month, and then it's going to turn into a monthly once we get our feet wet. But it's going to be called Link and Drink, and it's basically just linking up with like-minded people. We've got some surprises we're going to throw in there, and you'll definitely get something out of it. It's a free event at breweries, so that's where the drinking part comes into it. But I think that's going to be something cool. For me personally, I'm just working a lot more on self-growth and just reevaluating who I am and who I want to be, focusing a lot more on my mental health. Been hitting the gym consistently for the last 3 months. Been seeing a big difference in productivity up there. Other than that, man, like I don't know. I've been itching to go back out to LA. I'm talking to like D Murphy and Mark Brazil. Still working on trying to schedule something, but if that doesn't get scheduled in the near future, I'm just going to go out there. I might even take a solo trip and just create and just get a break from everything. Because I'm a travel bug at heart, dude. I just love, the reason why I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was when I first started a business. I just thought it was called a businessman. But I always told my parents that I want to travel for business, on my own business. I thought that was the flyest thing, dude. So I've done it a couple of times, and I think I'm going to try to work with someone out of Minnesota just to be able to say I did that again. It gets me hyped up, kind of like the Gary and Super Bowl stuff. Other than that, man, I'm continuously growing. Fingerprint launched. That's super cool. We just did a $17,000 order out the bats. Shout out Jackson. I'm really excited to see what Fingerprint's going to pop off with the corporate gifting. Other than that, man, I'm keep hustling. I'm going to keep going.
People have loved that. The coasters.
We got pop sockets now. It's a different idea, and we're not necessarily focusing on the direct to consumer, but the business to business market in that nature is just massive. So, and I'm really excited to see what Social Butterfly can do with Unreal. I think it's really gonna pop off, and it's gonna be a really good opportunity to open up the gates. That's the thing, man. I love other people just building what they want to build, and if there's any way that I can provide value and help aid that goal, I'm all about it. So.
There's something in the water in Mankato, baby.
There's something.
Okay, so before I let you go, we're going to do the your 5 greatest inventions. This can be Inventor. This can be Dr. Dre. This can be whoever you want, whatever you want. But 5 inventions that are shaping your life. So we'll start with number 5.
5 inventions that are already existing?
Theo Vaughn came up with his own.
So the least life-changing?
Most life-changing. 5 greatest.
Okay, but you said start with 5.
In your life.
Okay. Definitely the iPhone. I think that's just a go-to that it's got to be on everyone's list. That's changing everything.
How do you feel when you see someone text you with a green bubble?
Bro, I will not. I'm sorry to say this, but unless you're like a web developer, I'm probably not going to hire you if you have like a Chromebook or something. Mm-hmm. Like if you're PC Android, like there's just certain people you can tell that's just like, you have a green bubble, don't you?
Hey, maybe
I'm business partners with one, and I rag him. Yeah, I rag him on it all the time. Dude, we were trying to post Instagram stories, and it looks like someone like fucking dropped syrup on their camera screen, and they're trying to like record it. It is just god awful. But now he upgraded a phone. It's getting a little bit better, but I just do not like Android. So definitely iPhone, not just a phone, because they're streaming. I mean, they're streaming across all platforms. Like anything I take notes on my phone goes straight to my laptop, straight to my desktop. Game changer.
Over 80% of professionals in California alone use iPhones.
Why does California matter?
Because they are the trendsetters. Silicon Valley, baby.
Dude, I think Silicon Valley is overplayed, and I think
it's more or less San
it popped.
Francisco now.
It popped.
It's that coast.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Microsoft and Amazon up in Seattle. We can go down to Silicon Valley. We can go
Yep.
Google Land.
Yep.
You know, Oracle.
Yep. The second one would probably be. I'm just gonna AirPods, dude. Like I know they've made Bluetooth headphones in the past, but AirPods just look fly, and it's just streamlined everything. I can listen to podcasts in the car. That'd probably be my third one is podcast. They've been around for a little bit, but now they're becoming cool, and I think there's a lot more people with personality coming on podcasts. And people ask me like, how are you so smart in this business? I literally listen to podcasts and apply it to my life. And people think they're so boring, but like, man up. Either that or watch stuff on YouTube where there's a video component. But one of those two, like if you're trying to make some moves in your life, why would you not take free information and apply it to your life? That's all I do on a regular basis, all day long. I work out, I listen to podcasts. Every now and then I'll switch it up and listen to some music, jam out, do what I need to do. But from 80% of what I listen to is straight podcasts. And they don't even have to be those motivator, like get up and go do work. You don't have to do the Andy Frisella all day long. You don't have to do the Gary Vee. Group chats, one on just straight news on entrepreneur life. I mean, just like what's happening in the world and their take on it. And then there's stuff like Joe Rogan that's just more entertaining. But I mean, that's something that I like. Fourth one would probably be, damn, bro, 5's hard. You should keep it to 3. Give me some examples.
Well, seeing how your bread and butter is your camera work.
That's true.
We won't get into what programs you're using to chop up.
Yeah, video camera for sure. I mean, I'm starting a vlog. That's something else that's happening for the Butterfly, just to give more of the storytelling, to be able to get a visual component of what's happening. Because we're a group of young people. We're all under 25, and we're just making moves, you know. So the best part about being able to work a video camera is I'm going to look back in 10, 15, 20 years and like get goosebumps, because I'm going to have high quality video of what's going on in my life at that time. And it's going to be, I mean, if you look at it, dude, our parents were vlogging way back when they had the big shoulder rig VHS cassette tape stuff. Like they're just like videotaping you, like running around and riding your bike. They were straight up vlogging. It just wasn't coined that, and they weren't going to chop it up. But that's essentially what it is. And so I'm really excited to continue to document my life. Last one, I'm going to go cliche. I'm just going to have to say social media. I think it's just that everyone's a PR agent of themselves. And to be able to put that into context and connect with people, I mean, some of my life has just changed directly off of the people that I've connected with. And I think people are everything. We criticize a lot about human nature, but I think there's a lot of good things to say. I think we're very smart, and we just need to wake up on what's happening with the internet and really use it to our advantage. So yeah, that would be my top 5.
All right. Well, we got a meeting to get to.
All right. It's out.